Okay, I'm here with Steve Hawke. He's the music coordinator here at St Aidan's Primary. He's also very interested in iPads and ICT, and he's going to talk to us about what he's been doing with the Switched On ICT unit. We are music makers for Year 4. Steve.
Hi, yeah, so in Year 4 we've been using, for a module on ICT, based on the Rising Stars Switched On ICT programme, a unit called We Are Digital Music Makers. So we've been using an app called Figure to do that and to achieve those goals. So Figure is made by a company called Propellerhead. That's the same company that produce other kinds of music software that professional musicians use a lot to compose a lot of their songs.
Okay.
And with Figure, what it basically does is simplifies sort of the process of kind of creating some music. It uses touchpads as a way for the children to create that sound, following through certain patterns depending on what you've set on. Kick drum, they can hear that, and then start to layer in. So at first we were just teaching the children how to create a basic pattern that fitted together, and they can play around with the different numbers and talk about changing the tempo and varying different rhythms and the sort of the uniformity within the rhythms to get them to work together well. The next step then obviously is to get them to think about different layers. At the top you've got 3 different basic areas. So you've got drums, you've got a bass area, which gives the children a nice straightforward understanding of pitch and how to go from a low pitch to a higher pitch. Again, it follows the same pattern as regarding the rhythm, about moving it up or down, so you can create more steady patterns or more syncopated patterns. You can change scale steps, you can change ranges. It gives you a lot of options that the children find very easy to interact with, and it helps them to learn those musical terms. So
do they pick up that musical vocabulary far easier, do you think, with these? Or?
Definitely, I think so. I mean, things like saying whether a note is higher or lower, talking about the pitch, is obviously something that they could learn from just kind of talking to them. But then when they can actually touch it and actually feel the changes in that, I think it's more real to them, so they're more likely to remember it.
And how do you manage a whole class with iPads and all that music? It must get a bit crazy.
Yeah, it would do certainly, but because obviously you can plug your headphones into the iPad,
of course.
It allows each child to, rather than be distracted by all 29 other children, they can focus on their song and creating their piece of music that they want to create. And they get a result out of it that's a far more kind of polished product, rather than using, say, a wood block and sitting there and playing as part of a composition with trying to play with 30 other children, which just really isn't practical most of the time. They can create a song with 3 different levels with syncopated rhythms, thinking about the tempo, and it's just better.
Right, okay, give us a track then.
So, we'll see, I'm going to have to kind of make it up as I go along a bit. But you could, so, starting up at the top, we'd hit on record, and then we'd start putting it in.
Sorry, I think you must have discovered one of my earlier experiments on that. Right.
Yeah, set up a new one. So, because you can save all the work you do in Figure, so we can create a new one and bring that one up.
And I understand, just like in GarageBand, you could also pair children together so they could work collaboratively, is that right?
Definitely, yeah. There's, if I just bring it back to it, there's the iPad and sort of iPhone kind of, which allows you to connect up to other iPads or iPods or iPhones.
Sure.
So you could have a child on an iPad teamed up with a child on an iPod Touch.
Okay.
And vary those around. But yeah, so they hit on record and it will wait to record until you actually start playing things. Okay. So then you can... You might be able to see at the top there's a progress bar going along which tells them where they are in the song. So I've recorded that part, I can come along to my bass part and start putting a bass layer. And you can see again, it will start recording that around the top. I come to my lead section. And you'll see as I'm playing it, it will record in and remember everything I've done.
And what about getting the music off the iPad and publishing it to the world? What might be some of the options there?
This is the area, if I'm honest, we're still trying to find the best way of doing this. But again, coming down to the system tab, first of all, obviously we encourage children to make sure they've saved it. They can obviously call it and then they want to call it. But then if they hit on the share button, at the moment, Figures and Propeller seem to be sort of still playing around with their options a little bit.
Yeah.
So at the moment, you can export it to iTunes, or you can do what's an audio copy.
Right.
If you export it to iTunes, unfortunately, it doesn't allow you to access it on the iPad.
Right.
But you can then get it off the iPad on the Mac or however you're connecting up your iPads.
Okay.
If you go to audio copy, though, it allows you to then take that and use it into a different kind of musical app.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So
sure.
another type of sort of sampling app.
Yeah.
That then you can then use to sort of edit it further beyond that.
Could you pull that into GarageBand?
Yes, it's a bit clunky, unfortunately, at the moment, just because you effectively have to come into GarageBand, load up the microphone audio recorder, set it to run in the background with musical apps, then go back to Figure and record it. Right. I did have two boys this morning in our school band, where one of them was playing on Figure, the other one was basically the record, like the sound studio, and just recording it straight from that child. Sure. So that was a better way that they found. It was a better workaround as well that could work as well.
So you use GarageBand in school band? Gosh. Oh.
Yeah. So we've looked at doing musical composition in GarageBand using the kind of different smart areas and using those as alternatives.
That sounds like a whole other video.
Yes.
All right. Okay. Thanks very much, Steve. Perfect. Thank you.